Yes, testing. Put a thumbs up. You got me. Up. Everybody, we here. We on
Thumbs
the
up.
we're on the air and we're ready to go. And welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live on a Tuesday edition with my co-host Francis Larkin and Donna Sherwood. Tonight we've got a special guest, a special, very special guest. So let's get with it. Welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live with your host, Tony Redford, and my co-hosts, LaDonna Sherwood and Francis Larkins.
Knowledge is Power Podcast Live starts now.
Well, hello, everybody. Again, how you like that?
All right.
Tony, you
All right.
should have told me.
Hey, what's up with that?
It's fabulous.
Somebody mic is popping.
I think that's
Popping. That's it. Okay. All right. There we go. Well, glad to have you, everyone here. And tonight we've got a super special guest. Um, um, she's the candidate for mayor of Beaumont, Texas. Tonight we have Mrs. Biguita Hernandez-Smith. Hello, B.
Hello, Tony.
We
How
want
are you?
we're great. We want to know, and we want the city to know who is Biguita Hernandez.
Biguita.
Biguita Hernandez Smith. That's it. Let's say it
That's
again.
it.
Biguita Hernandez Smith.
Yes,
Yes.
but
you
you
can
butcher
say-
people's
or you
names.
can
You
say
know
with the
that.
Spanish accent.
Yeah,
Or you can say with the Spanish accent, Biguita Hernandez.
Biguita. Now I might can say that better. Biguita. Biguita. Okay, good. Yes. So, LaDonna, it's your turn.
I am super excited. Give me my little banner. Knowledge is Power Podcast Live is a platform where we reach out to the African American communities with valuable educational information for education, finance, politics, and business. And we pride ourselves on keeping our hands and our hearts in the streets, honey. We make sure that we have our hand on the pulse of the community, and we keep you abreast of activities in and around the Golden Triangle area. We are super excited about my girl, Biguita Hernandez-Smith, baby, because she is coming to Beaumont to bring it. And tonight we're going to find out a little bit about her. We're going to dig deep because y'all know me. And between me and Francis, we're going to question her down.
I already told her we're gonna have to dive deep in here because we want Beaumont, Texas to know who's Biguita Hernandez Smith is. And she is running for mayor of Beaumont, Texas.
That's right.
Right, guys? All right.
That's right.
All right. So let's hear from Biguita.
Tony, can you mute
I
my
can-
mic?
I think
Yes.
it's frozen. Okay.
No,
Can
no,
everybody
you're
hear
there. You just yes, we can
We
hear
can.
you. Yes.
Okay. So hello everyone. As I have been introduced so kindly, my name is Biguita Hernandez-Smith. I am one of the mayoral candidates for running for mayor for Beaumont, Texas, 2021. Very, very excited. Very excited to bring forth new vision, innovation, some change, some leveling up, engaging our youth, and doing a lot of things that I think the city can need right now in this time of shift in our world. I mean, our world is shifting, right? Our country is shifting to a really great positive. We have a lot of servant leaders around our country stepping up into politics. And I pride myself on being one of those. So very humble and very humbly accept this position. And I am here to work and grind and be in the trenches to get Beaumont to the next level.
Francis, like to chime in there?
Of course, it's it's so so very good to have you. I love to see that, you're shaking things up here in Beaumont and you're, adding a little spice to it because we have been on a reoccurring stagnant here over the past couple of years since I have been in the area and I've had my fingers on the pulse. I would like to know, with all the pressures, with kind of like the state where Beaumont is currently in, how would you come in as mayor if elected? How would you deal with that? Because I mean, we're so used to the same thing. I'm sure you're going to be changing things up. You've got some more. I heard you say innovative. I heard you say youth and engage in the community in different ways. In Southeast Texas, we are one of those places where we're peculiar. Like we're used to the same thing. Most people in this area, we're used to the same thing, and sometimes and often are comfortable. So when you come in and you're implementing these changes, how are you going to bridge that? How are you going to come in and put kind of like bridge those two with the old and the new? Because you got to ease us in a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
B, if I think
My
you got a
mic.
little pop, you got a little popping in your mic. Is that because you're holding it?
How's that?
Wait a second.
Maybe. Is that okay? Is that
Okay,
better?
that's better. Much better. Okay, go ahead. Oh, here we go
Okay.
again.
Just so you don't hear any pop. You don't hear any pop because I hear pop from you, but I'm gonna. So when I speak, okay,
Okay,
I
go
think we're
ahead.
good. Um, Thank you for that question. And yes, you are right. There has been many opportunities that I have taken coming into a situation. So within my career, coming into a situation where things have been done the same way for a long time. And so what you cannot do as a leader is try to invoke change drastically. First of all, it's important that you get buy-in from the community or the people that you serve. And the first part of getting buy-in is to understand and be a sounding board to what they need and what their interests and concerns are. When I had my press conference 3 weeks ago to announce, the media asked me, what will you do in your first 30 days of being a mayor? Should you be elected? And my answer was, the work doesn't start when I'm elected. The work starts now, right? The work has been. So in the work that I do as a workforce development professional, economic development professional, I have been sowing the seed already here to be able to do the work. And quite frankly, the things that I talk about in terms of being able to uplift the city and bringing the city to a new level are things that I will continue to do even if I'm not
Let,
elected.
let
Now,
me let me
the
come in.
objective is to be
Let
elected
me
because I
interrupt you.
believe in the
B,
position.
B, let me interrupt you
Can
right
you hear me?
quick. I want you to. We're gonna flip you. I'm gonna ask you to log out and log back in completely because you got a bad sound right now. So log out and relog back in, please. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, you there? I guess she's logged out. Well,
Yeah,
yeah. So we're
you're muted, LaDonna.
right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying, I think she's muted, but I think she's logging out and logging back in. But what I
Right.
wanted to say was, we want to be sure that the audience can hear this because this is really important about our future and about
Right.
Right.
people
Right.
that are coming in and wanting to make change. And I'm all with the logging out and logging back in because I was like, baby, I can't hear nothing.
Right.
Because it
You
was
know
getting
how we
real
do,
good.
Francis, when we can't hear, we be getting up to the
I'm
screen
close.
like, what?
I've been close, but you can't see me. But she was sounding very, very good. I love it.
Mhm.
Yes, I
So
can't wait. Look, you know how we get. I was trying not to do it. I said, boy, people be saying you and Francis be getting close to the screen like that's gonna make it better.
it get good. It get real good.
Right. When I get close, I'm trying to see what you're saying.
We're hoping to have her back in just a moment.
Just a
Yes,
moment.
I hope she can. I hope she can.
Yeah.
But I am excited about what her answer was. She was like, the transition starts now, not when I
Yeah,
become elected, but that's important. Those focus groups and that buy-in from the community and starting with the grassroots and holding meetings and talking to the town, that's how you find out what the people want.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
so
So that she's been making traction here for quite 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 some time. And I met Brigida first. She was doing a seminar for young professionals in Southeast Texas, and this was, and I do mean, some years ago. So even then I was thoroughly impressed with her presence and the way her vision and how she saw things. So was super excited to hear of her candidacy, and that she was interested in helping lead our community
Right.
and our city. So very excited to hear her POV.
yes.
Right. I hope she can get back on here shortly. In the interim of that, do we have any updates from Georgia? Can we get a Georgia update, Tony? Because I
No,
really
Lord.
heard about that right
no,
about
I'm
now.
not. I'm not in there, but we're going to have. We can talk about the shows that's coming up. Francis,
Okay.
Francis, tell us who's our guest going to be next Sunday coming.
Well, I actually reached out to Miss Portia Perez. I know with the everything on the rise with COVID, she has an extremely good product. It's an elderberry syrup that she actually makes. She has been featured in the Beaumont Enterprise and also on a lot of panels, and I have heard very good things about her. And I'm also a I also use her product, and I have pretty much been COVID free. I need to check the antibodies though, okay? But for the
Mhm.
most part, COVID free.
Baby,
So,
let me tell you, those antibiotics will send you into a tailspin. But anyway,
ooh,
Okay, I guess our guest is back.
hey,
Bigita, you hear us?
Hi.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Much
Is
better.
this
Much
better? I
better.
used a
uh,
Yes.
different phone. I
Yes.
mean,
Okay,
I
much
gotta
better.
try all types of stuff with
Yes.
technology.
All
you
right.
good.
Now
You're
we're
doing
back
better.
on
It's
track again.
perfect.
Again,
Okay.
for
I'm
people,
trying
if
to get
you
my lighting better, but
okay,
It's
that's
okay.
fine. That's fine.
your
You're
lighting
fine.
is good as long as we can hear you.
Right, right.
okay.
We want to hear you very good. Okay. Now, people, if you're watching and you're listening, or you're just getting back with us, or you're just not turning in, we're talking to Biguita Hernandez-Smith. She's a candidate for mayor of Beaumont, Texas, in the May election of this year, 2021. And we want to know, and not only we want to know, we want to get to know who is Biguita Hernandez-Smith.
Hmm.
And this is why we invited her here and going to invite her back again. And we just want to spread the news. Let's go with it. Okay, now let's go back to that question. Let's go back to your question, Francis, and
Okay.
back so that we can refresh the show. Go.
Okay. Brigida, do you need me to? Or,
No, I have it. I have it.
okay.
You think that I could just take it from here?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. All right.
But
I think I'm
we need to
blinded
know.
by the
But
light.
actually, we need to
Okay.
know the question again. That's just that. Give me a
Okay.
short version of the question.
I'll
Good. Go ahead.
definitely pose the question again.
Okay. Great.
Since we've had a consistency, like a stagnant leadership here, how are you planning on coming in and implementing some of those innovative? I heard you say youth engaged, just different points of views that you have found that are important to members in the community. How are you going to come in and kind of bridge that mindset of just the consistency that we've had over as long as I can remember, and being a Bomanian over these years? What is your plan in implementing your new POVs or your new important things?
Sure. So, what I will say is that I don't look at Beaumont as a stagnant city. Necessarily, I don't. I think that there has been a lot of growth. I think that Beaumont is a city, and this area, Southeast Texas, Golden Triangle, is blessed in that it has tremendous resources, right?
Yes.
One being oil and gas, and the petrochemical industry has done phenomenal things for the community. But I think we need to build on those things that have already been established. So my motto in my campaign is big, right? We want to think big, we want to envision big, and that big stands for building upon what has already been established, inspiring, right, for folks to take the next level, and then growing, right, continuing to grow.
I like
Um,
that. I like that. Can you give me
Yeah.
that one more
big,
time?
big. big, build, inspire, grow, big. So, the whole idea is we're thinking big, we're envisioning big, we're expecting big results. Let's
Okay.
go big, right? Um, and what I was saying before is that as a leader, it's important. You can't just come in and try to just switch up everything because it's not going to be received well,
Right.
right? And what's important is that you get an understanding and you get the community's buy-in. You get the people that you served's buy-in. So while I have these ideas, right, I want to be able to share them on a level where the community understands how that impacts their daily life. And I
Okay.
think that so once a resident understands that through certain policies, through certain change, through certain building, inspiring, growing, your life is able to change in certain areas, the community is now with you. And these changes that I speak about are not instant changes. These are changes that are going to take some time. But what I
Okay.
do believe that I bring to the table is that the vision to have such change, the vision to have such growth. So yeah, it never bodes well to come into any environment where people have done things a certain way and just try to disrupt that change. It has to
No.
be done gingerly. It has to be done with the people in mind and with people's buy-in. They want to know that they're included in those decisions.
Right. And I like that you originally, if I could just piggyback on kind of what you said that talking to the people and getting the people's opinion originally before you got disconnected, you were saying kind of something about focus groups and hearing what the community wants and needs and how they feel about those changes and taking them at a pace that once you talk to them and created these focus groups and talk to the young people and allow them to express what they need, then making those changes. I like that, and I like that big. Okay, because
You
everybody
like
knows this
that?
is Big Money Texas, baby, and we don't play
Yes.
that. So I'm here for it, girl. That's great.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. And but think about it, right? It's funny how politics gets a bad stigma because if you are a true politician, it is your job to serve the people. You
Yes.
should be a servant leader. You should lead with the people in mind first. In the end, the people are the inhabitants of a city. So you need to understand what they need, what they want, how to be able to retain the people in the city. We don't want our people moving. We don't want our young people to get educated in Beaumont, in the school district, and then also higher education to take all of all of those valuable resources and contribute it to another economy. We want them to stay here. So
Wait,
in
let
order
me
for
ask you a
them,
question. So that's my question. You about to jump over my question because
okay,
my
come on.
question is, how do you plan to keep local, younger, talented people in Beaumont when everybody wants to move away? So I'm glad you brought that up because that's a question that I had.
So
How do you feel about what is your plan or what is your platform towards maintaining the integrity of young people staying here who may be engineers, who may be lawyers, who may be doctors, who may have talent? What do you plan to do to engage them, to make them want to remain in this town?
hmm
And
so we
as
have to.
mayor, I know that's not something that you can do alone. Don't miss.
No, I
I
can't do
don't
it
want
either.
you to feel any
Yeah.
pressure. Like I'm not saying build something. I'm saying what is your theoretical
Yeah.
idea?
Right.
Yes. So you mentioned something really big and important in that I cannot do any of this alone. None of it. Everything has to be with partners and unity and building the right relationships and moving forward as a unified city. So let me just say that. Um, when we think about or when we see our youth moving away, we have to ask the question why? Why do people move away? Why are people attracted to different cities? People are attracted to different cities because they have more opportunity for jobs and employment and careers. They have a better quality life. There's entertainment. Um, that's why.
Education.
That's for the education. Education, yes. So let's speak education. I mean, there's education here, but we
Okay.
have to be able to appeal to all of our people, right? And I think that there is some opportunity to be able to develop the market, right? So you can develop different programs of study. And I had this conversation yesterday. So for instance, we can, talk to students and get an understanding of what they're interested in that we don't have, right? So the first thing that comes to mind is like dance, right? We don't have like a higher education kind of dance program or anything like that. But but in order to make those changes, we need to understand that there's a market for it. You can't have a whole plethora of people or students within a certain program, and once they get out, there's no market because people are going to leave anyway. Do you understand what I'm saying? So those two things, it's supply and demand. You have the supply, but the supply has to meet the demand of the market. And I think that's where we need to connect the dots. Those jobs, those opportunities have to be available. And then if you think about that, in order for them to be available, we need to be able to attract a diversified set of industries here that we don't necessarily have.
You're right. You're right.
And I'll even extend that a little bit more, even in the petrochemical industry. And I was speaking to someone yesterday in the healthcare industry, specifically about dental hygienists. There's so many students. We have to really have an understanding of the number of students we're putting into certain programs, because even though there's opportunities, can we provide all of those opportunities to students when they get those certifications, when they get those degrees? We need, like, again, it's about it's three things. So it's about understanding the interests of our younger people. It's about making sure that the existing programs of study and education meet the demand, right? And then it's about, okay, so if we want to bring in new industry, we need to also make sure that the new industry, if we want to be able to inject new programs in new industries and prepare students that way, we need to make sure that we have those businesses intact to give them opportunities. Otherwise, we're losing people. And that's like the foundation, right? Because you cannot build a family if you cannot sustain a living, right? You cannot grow, you cannot have a husband and then have children if you're not able to sustain a quality living. So that's
Right.
like the foundation. But then you talk about quality of life. People want to have a good time. People think about why people want to have opportunity to explore different cultures and eat different foods and things like that. So you think through.
That's my next question, girl. You all over my little list over here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I've
I'm
got
so
more questions
sorry.
on
Yeah,
top of that.
let her finish then.
I'm good. Ask the question.
I didn't ask the question yet, Tony.
Okay, all right. So everybody got a mute in their mouth now. Okay, great. Now tell me, Biguita, what is your number one? Uh, what's the first thing you're gonna do? Get your foot on the floor running. What is the first thing you're gonna try to implement?
Yeah,
One
so
thing.
I started to talk about this a little bit because I was saying that when I announced my candidacy, the media asked me the same question. We can't wait. If you're really about the work, you're not going to wait to get into a certain position to do the work. You're going to start to do the work now. So all the things that I'm speaking about, what I'm planning to do is actually showing improving, right? Because people are going to elect you and vote for you because they know that you can handle the job. So why not take the opportunity of showing improving what impact you can make prior to even getting into position, right? And not for nothing, if I don't get into position where that is the objective, and I believe that's where I will end up, I'm going to do the work anyway.
Mhm.
What I feel is a calling that in order to be as influential as possible, in order to lead and unify the city, the mayor's position is a really great opportunity to do so. So the work starts now. So right now I am congregating different groups of people around different interests related to my platform. So for instance, we have a group, and I'm not going to give too much detail because we're still formulating the group, but basically it's a pilot around preventing youth from committing or turning to crime.
Okay.
And the whole idea is that we want to be able to direct our youth in a different path, really digging deep as to why they choose lives of crime or why they choose to go down a different road. And the first part of that is that we need to make sure that our kids are not idle, right? Because being idle will
Yes.
allow you to stray. And creating a mentorship program, if you will, that ultimately results in an employment, and really building the fundamentals of work ethic and being able to earn a dollar. So we're doing that. But I say all that to say, Tony, what I'm trying to express is that the work starts now.
Yes, yes,
Right. So you
absolutely.
can, so in you, when you look at traditional campaigns, and we have to have this, right? The marketing, the promotion, people need to be familiar with the face and the name, and that is all good and all great. But you can't forget why you're here in the first place. Why you're here in the first place is to make impact. And so that is what, so my campaign will be a campaign that combines or balances marketing and promotion with the actual work and being in the trenches. Not afraid
Your
of the
first
work.
thing, your first, if I'm understanding correctly, just because I'm one of those, I'm a public relations person.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with campaigns and how people actually perceive things. What you're saying is the very first thing that you're gonna do in the 30 days is build a coalition. You're not. And you're not technically waiting to the first 30 days. You're actually building the coalition now. You don't believe that the first thing that you should do when you hit the floor as mayor is to start building the coalition. You've already began building the coalition now to
Right.
find out what the needs of the people are.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
sometimes
And
you
try to
have
make
to
and try to make
make it concise. So I
yes.
want to help you draw the connect the dots for the people.
Yeah.
Yes. And the thing
First
is
thing
that
that she wants to do day one as mayor is build a coalition, a broad coalition, to understand what the needs are of the people. And she's actually not going to wait until day one. She's
It's
starting
already being implemented.
now. Did
and
I get
the
that
big
right?
the and what's important about programming like this and taking pilots is that you can have a great idea, but you have to have an objective, you have to have a purpose, and you have to have a way of measuring it, right? Because we could be
Mhm.
spinning ourselves all day. How do you measure the success? First of all, what is the impact that we want to make? And how do we go about measuring it to understand whether or not it was successful? So that after, by the time I become mayor in May, we'll already have adjusted and enhanced to build out an even bigger program. And I'm
Right.
specifically talking about crime prevention, but there's other little committees that I'm working on that references the change and the innovation that I want to make on my platform.
Now
Okay.
let me ask you this, since you mentioned that, because I got a list of questions over here, but when you say I'm focusing on crime for prevention and I'm building a coalition and there needs to be a way to measure the success, what kinds of checks and balances do you propose in the future for people that are also elected along with you, yourself included? How do you feel about being held accountable and putting some checks and balances in place to making sure that people are accountable for what they have said that they're going to do, and making sure that those measures of success are being, distributed to the community? Because we want to know, we're
Yes.
of
Yes.
having people that run for office and say they're gonna do woo, 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 and then there's no way to measure how much of that was actually accomplished. And there's no checks and balances in place to say, hey, you did so and so, but you didn't do so and so, and we feel like this and we feel like that, and now we want to get rid of you, or we want to keep you on based on what you have done. What do you feel? How do you feel about that? Accountability.
Accountability is very important. I think as a leader, you have to make yourself accountable. You don't have to wait until people make you accountable. So, LaDonna, you mentioned communication, which is key, right? So, how I see this is that because what I've noticed is that there's plenty of darts thrown current to current council and current leadership, right? They don't do this, they don't do that. But what's missing is this. This is year 2000. I'm just giving an example. This is year 2021. As a council, these are the objectives and the goals that we want to meet. Quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and communicate those. And at the end of each quarter, we can go over with the community and make it very public. This is what we accomplished. This is why we did. These are the things that we weren't able to accomplish. And this is why. You need to make it completely transparent so that the community and the people that you serve understand the details of the leadership, because everything is not going to be a success. We know that, right? In our everyday
Right.
lives, everything that we attempt is not going to be a success. But if I'm able to show you the extent of my effort, our effort, and why it went astray, then the community is going to be more understanding. But the transparency has to be there.
Okay, Francis.
Yeah, I definitely have a question. I heard a few comments back. You were talking about unity. As we know, it has been, Beaumont with the Black Lives Matter movement and all the craziness that have gone on, just watching the city council meetings with, people from the community just coming in and giving ideas. I saw that our community was actually more divided than I ever thought in a million years. So how and what programs or things are you going to implement to kind of because really I think we've forgotten about that. I'm a mother, I'm raising a child here, and I do hope to be here, for a very long time. So I
Mhm.
do want this to be a very pleasant place for my child to grow up knowing
Yes.
that, that she will be, comfortable
Love and
in her
embrace.
skin. Exactly. So what are you gonna do to kind of like, not smooth over and try to pass by it to actually try to heal our community? Because I think it kind of starts there first. We can add all these plans and programs, but you're kind of just putting it on a unsteady foundation. So I want to hear that part. I want to hear what your goals are for that.
So Beaumont is a melting pot, right,
Ex-
of all
Sure.
different ethnicities. So you have and races. So you have Black, white, you have Hispanic community, which is predominantly Mexican, but then you also have other Latinos, right? You have Colombians, you have Puerto Ricans, you have all that. Then you have Vietnamese, then you have Filipinos, then you have Middle Eastern. It is a melting pot. But what I've seen coming in is that everyone operates in their own silos. What needs to happen, and it's not necessarily a program, it's the reason why people tend to operate in their own silos or tend to be um, segregated is because they are fearful of the unknown. And so we need to make these unknowns known, right? Once you get an understanding of who a person is, why, and I'm not only talking about ethnicity either, right? Political
Mhm.
parties, stances, perspective. Once you get an understanding and a conversation happens, right? And we have to lead with respect. Let me hear your perspective. Let me hear your understanding. And the respect is agreeing to disagree if I happen to disagree with you. But I don't think that we even give the opportunity to have that conversation or to explore that difference. You understand what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot of there's a lot of exposure that needs to happen to be able to
Uh-huh.
reveal the gem of the city, which is the fact that it is a melting pot, getting people to understand who their co-resident is and being able to appreciate that. I think you can do that through having difficult but candid conversations. You can do that through, cultural exploration, right?
Mhm.
Highlighting certain cultures of the city and getting people to understand the music and the food and all of that. But it's a how do I say it? It's a detriment. Such a city cannot flourish if it's not unified.
Right.
And the thing is that what we actually are fearful of is what we're fearful of is the actual value and asset to our city. The fact that we're all different and diverse brings so much more to the table than if we were just sterile and the same. The fact that and this will come up, so I'm just putting it out there. I'm born and raised on Staten Island, New York. And then you, Francis, you were born and raised where?
Jasper, Texas, the big,
Jasper.
big town.
Okay.
Oh
But the thing
Lord.
is that guess what? My experiences and you bring something very different to the table and I bring something different. Together we can work because we've had different experiences. Do you understand? The difference in the diversity is truly the strength of the city. And that's what needs to happen.
What Frank Bigala to ask do
Tony,
you
I'm gonna
think
have you call me just Big. How
yeah,
about that?
Bigata.
Just call me Big, Tony.
Bigata. But look here, let me ask you this. How do you think you can manage and work with the previous or the present or the current councilmen and woman
Hmm.
that's already on council? How, because everyone there has their own agenda, and how can you work with them? You think you can work with them?
Hmm. If I couldn't, I wouldn't be stepping up. But I don't necessarily know. I think there's a lot that is believed. My thing is this: when I come into a situation, I'll take the wisdom and to with a grain of salt, but I need to know, and I need to have an understanding for myself. So I have no problem getting to know people and giving them a clean slate, right? You have to give people a clean slate, and we can't decide on everyone that we need to work with. So I need to sit with you and understand your perspective. What is it that you want to do? I can't go in saying everybody has their own agenda. I have to go in with a clear mind, saying what is it that you've done, appreciate, because at the end of the day, we cannot deny, and I will never discount anyone's leadership. And with this specific council, you cannot deny the amount of years that each person has committed. I mean, especially those who have been on the council for a long time, that in and of itself deserves a hats off moment. So my thing is this: because I've worked with so many different people, different sis all around the board, I can come to you with respect, and I know that I can build a relationship that in the end may be in disagreement, but in the end is respectful, and humans will not deny respect.
Great answer. Great answer. Now, what is your platform? What is that? Is infrastructure is on your platform because Beaumont is in an infrastructure mess.
So let's define what platform is, right? I
Okay.
think that platform, in my mind, in my definition, is what the core things that I know that I can bring in terms of my expertise to the table. So you cannot lead a city without thinking about the infrastructure and the fact that the roads and the sewage and all this, because you can't build on a broken foundation, right? If you look at my website, infrastructure is mentioned, not necessarily one of the high points, because when I talk about my platform, like I said, it's based on my professional experience. But yes, infrastructure, absolutely. You cannot build. So you cannot build on broken foundation. The foundation has to be right. But the thing is that the foundation is not going to change overnight. So we have to look and really, I think one of the biggest things about the infrastructure right now is the fact that we need to look at where the money is allocated and really question whether equality is necessary or equity is a better term or a better approach, right? Because you can split it down, you can split the budget across every different area equally. Is that what we really need to do, or do we need to take a keen eye to say what is needed? Perhaps more investment is needed in certain areas than others. I think that is the eye that I would approach the situation on. But to answer your question, infrastructure will always has to be part of a platform.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith.
She ain't baking pies, okay? She ain't
I'm,
baking pies.
I'm gonna try to say it one more time. Bigata,
Biguita.
Bigita. All right, I got it. Bigita. Now, Francis.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I've got a ton of questions. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So if this is time for, shameless self-promotion here. You are a candidate running for mayor of Beaumont. And if I why should we vote for you? Just plain and simple. Why should we vote for you?
I think that I so let me talk about Beaumont first. So in people say, oh, people have said she hasn't been here for a long time. So let me just say that I have been affiliated with Beaumont since 2003. So I'm very familiar with the city. I have lived here, laid my head here a total of almost 5 years at different times. So I have a love for the city because the city embraced me and my family in a very, very warm way. It was a breath of fresh air to leave the hustle of New York City to come to a place where I could provide a quality of life for my children and myself. At the time when I first came, I wasn't married yet. So I have a love for Beaumont. And, God does things, he does things very miraculously, right? So there's a reason why I have the experience that I have, because I believe that he wanted me to gain. So when I talk about experience, economic development experience, working with small businesses around the country and helping them and positioning them for growth so that they could hire more people so that they could increase their revenue. There's a reason why, so that I could bring that to Beaumont, Texas. Workforce development, being able to train individuals and develop them in the areas that they need to be job ready to ultimately build careers. Why? Because this city needs a strong leader in that regard. So I say all that to say, those are some really valuable, and what's key is that I've had success. So I've had
Right.
failures and I have had success. So I
Right.
come with the best practices, right? And I've done it in bigger cities. I've done it in smaller cities. I've done it in unknown cities. So I have, there's a level of credibility that I come in to the position because I've been successful. And like I said, I've learned from my mistakes as well.
Right.
You, unity, right? Like I am, so I myself, I am a melting pot, right? I cut, my parents are immigrants. My father is from Puerto Rico. My mother is from Aruba. They immigrated here for a better life. And then when I come, so then I myself am a poster child of something that's different and diverse, and I can speak to it.
Love
Because
it.
oftentimes people will say, oh, well, you know, you look Creole, or you are African American, or you look half white and half black, or you are Latina. It depends on where I am. But the whole
Right.
point is that I'm that poster board for diversity, right? I understand how people are afraid of the differences. And it's
Right.
very, very important that, like I said, unity, right? We need to get it. A city cannot flourish without the unity of the city, the people being unified and the entities being unified. How could we possibly think that the city can get to another level if BISD, the higher education, workforce solutions, the city, our church congregations, if we're not unified and we're not all at the same table pushing our city forward?
Right.
So
Great
why
answer.
vote? I mean, why vote for me? Because I have
Well,
a,
the question should be why not? After an
yeah,
answer like
there we
that.
go.
Absolutely.
There we go. There we go. Why not?
Why not? I love it. Thank
And
you
and you
again.
know, not for nothing, I think it's appropriate. I'm going to pitch the fact that women, right?
Right.
We are nurturers. We are nurturers, right? So we're going to approach from the heart first. However, we're also known to be Proverbs 31 woman. We can do many things, okay?
Right.
We can take care of our families. We're nurturers. We take care of other people beyond our own children. We're business women. We can make shrewd decisions. We can understand and respect people. And I'm not saying anything against men. What I'm saying is that this is a time to really be able to embrace the holistic woman.
Right. And I think that the most important thing that you just said is, and oftentimes in every community, in every family, in every facet of business and life, there's a woman somewhere holding it together, and she is never gonna let you down.
Right.
She will never fail you.
Yes.
She will never fail you.
No, because
ever.
because it
It's
stays
gonna
on
be
her
a
mind.
woman somewhere. Even when one woman fail you, another woman gonna pick you up and straighten it out.
So is that a
Yes.
testimony? Is that a
Yes.
testimony, LaDonna?
I'm just saying, we will never let you down. Never.
It's not in
Okay.
our DNA. Right, Tony? It's not in our
I hear you.
DNA.
Yeah.
Right, Tony?
Yes, yes, it is. You know,
Well,
guys,
Brigida, I think you've given our listeners a lot to really think about. And I think that you're a great candidate. And I love the fact that
Thank you,
you
Francis.
do absolutely. I love the fact that you do come into our area and shake things up a little bit. I'm a thinker, usually outside of the box. And I just like the fact that you're coming in and could possibly shake things up and give a different, you know, I guess,
mhm.
Sway to what we normally see here in Southeast Texas. So I'm here for it. Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But
Absolutely.
also, what I want to emphasize is that it's a great city to begin with. I'm just
It is.
building upon what's already here.
It is a great city.
Let me say this. I want to ask you one question, and I know, I kind of held back a little bit, but let me ask you this. If somebody wants to give to your campaign, if they want to do any contributions, if they want to support you, you didn't give us any of that information. And we know that it takes money to run a campaign. And you got to think, I'm always on my Olivia Pope public relations, baby. What do you need?
It does. You know, it was hard for me to accept that because this is the first. I've worked for New York City local government before, you know, in high positions, but I've never ran a campaign before, and it's hard, not necessarily to fundraise, but to fundraise for yourself and to fund. And so I had to really get right with this, right? Because all the stuff that you need is for the people to get to know you for the most part. You need the opportunity for the people to get to know you. What's great to me and how I became a lot more comfortable with it is that as I collect my money and fundraise, I am pouring back into small businesses in the city who need the help. We need the graphics, we need the printing, we need all of that.
Right,
They need the help, especially in the pandemic that we're in. They suffered a
right.
great loss. They had a loss of sales. So that makes me feel so much better. But yes, you need money you need money. You need a lot of money. Um, I just posted a Facebook post about my fundraising and all the information. But let me just say this on my website at www.biguita, Biguita, for the number four, mayor.com. You can go on my website. You can see the tab that says donate, and you can easily donate via PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. So we have it very easy. And also, if you don't remember the website, you can go on my Facebook actual campaign page, and you can see all the information there as well.
Then what is your cash tag for Cash App? Straight out.
Oh, let me see. Oh Lord, you test your. Oh,
You know me. Well, we'll
I do.
post
Wait,
it later.
hold on. I got you because I got you. I got you,
People,
Ladonna.
we're here with Biguita Hernandez-Smith.
Yeah.
Biguita Hernandez-Smith. You know, she's running for, she's a candidate for mayor of Beaumont, Texas in the May 2001 election. So we invited Biguita on the show so we can get to know and for you to get to know who's Biguita. So if you missed some of the show, go back and get it and look at and get to know Biguita. She's going to be our next mayor of
Oh, so
2024.
we're claiming it. We're claiming it, Tony.
And no, I and I would do that with all my guests, all my candidates. You know, I just want to make everybody feel good about themselves, and we're gonna be stay positive on knowledge is power. But I appreciate you coming and thank you for the invite. But I think you have a question you want to answer that you want to give LaDonna. If not, I
Ladonna.
have.
So Ladonna, the Cash App is $BIGUITA for mayor. The number four mayor. So BIGUITA for mayor.
Okay, great. Now we're going to go to the comment box, and let's pull one or two. And the guitar, you can answer that questions. And so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to pull out this gangster right here. It's Terry Roy.
Hey, Terry.
Terry is asking, and I'm sure we all can read it on the screen. Do you think that Beaumont should ask the big corporations such as Mobil, Exxon Oil, and others to contribute more to the city since they are giving the biggest tax breaks or they're getting the biggest tax breaks? And the next question is for things such as trade schools and et cetera.
Yes. So I believe that I'm not going to speak to one specific. So let's just talk about the petrochemical organizations. I think that I don't know necessarily that they should give more. I think that we need to do better at overseeing what they promise to give. And so, yes, they get big tax breaks, but there's agreements out there where they have pledged to bring a certain number of jobs. And I think that there needs to be a tighter oversight on that to be able to make sure that they deliver on what they need to deliver. What I've also, so currently I'm working with State Rep Joe Despatel on this to change the law a little bit about this. So one is to have the oversight so that the city actually oversees as well. Two is that there's a lot of organizations, or there's a lot of instances where organizations will say, well, I'm doing a new project, but I don't really have that many jobs to devote to the project, right? So the other piece is, well, if you don't have the jobs, what are the subcontractors doing? Because they normally have a lot of the jobs, and ensuring that the subcontractors are giving the jobs to the local people. And then 3, if there's not a job contribution and we don't think that it's significant enough, then there should be an actual training offer. So for instance, I'm XYZ petrochemical refinery, and I'm not able to give the jobs that I think that we should give coming into the city, but I'm going to create a registered apprenticeship, and I'm going to put a certain number of residents in this training so that they're able to get educated and be positioned for other jobs that we may not be able to offer. That's just as valuable.
Awesome answer there. How you like that, Terry? Again, Biguita Hernandez-Smith, candidate for mayor of Beaumont, Texas, in the May 2021 election. People we're getting to know. We're going to invite her back. I'm going to ask my co-host before we sign off. Is there any other questions you would like to ask Biguita?
Well, we're nearing our close, but of course, we always have questions, Tony. You talking about me and Francis. Do you know how many questions me and Francis have compiled for today? Don't start there. We'll have her another day, but yes, we definitely have questions.
Yeah. So we're limited time. I like to keep the podcast about 30, 35 minutes of time. And we've kind of gone over. But again, it was a good time to go over because we want to get to know Biguita. So you didn't think I could pronounce your name, did you?
You did that time.
It was fantastic.
Yes. But Biguita is running for mayor of Beaumont, Texas. Now, I've got a question. There's 4 candidates are running for mayor, correct?
Who's the 4?
3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is this 3? Just 3?
At this time? Mm-hmm.
At this time, it's 3. So, again, there's going to be competition, and I know you're ready for it.
Mm-hmm. And so what's the question?
There was no question. There's no question. I just wish you the best.
I appreciate it. And it's competition, but I think again, I'm going to go to respect. I am happy to meet. I'm happy to talk to any of my competitors because at the end of the day, we have one thing in common, and that's the betterment of our city that we live in. So there's no type of shadiness or any type of ill will towards anybody, We're all trying to step up and we all have the same thing in common. So I'm going to be respectful. We'll talk. We can brainstorm. I mean, obviously, we have to run our own campaign, but I don't have anything against anybody. And like I said, I take my hat off to anyone who wants to step up and lead a city because they feel that they have the know-how to do so.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you, Biguita. And
so can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
So Tony, Francis, LaDonna, I just want to tell you that it's people like you that me and my family encountered that we love so much. The warmth that you give, the family love that you give is why we are here and why we will stay here in Beaumont, Texas. You guys are amazing and very supportive.
Thank you. I love it. Okay, guys and gang and everyone that's watching, hey, we're listening. We'll see you on Sunday at 7:00. Well, Sunday night edition of Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. And again, I'd like to thank Biguita Hernandez-Smith. Yes, for candidate for mayor of Beaumont, Texas. With that being said, guys, good night. Have a good evening, and we'll see you again the next week.
Thank you for watching Knowledge is Power